Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're back.
Again, somehow.
Once again, we have come back to Orange County. Hello, Juice County. Welcome to It's Happening Show Reloaded. I am Jose Gloria. This is my co-host, Dylan Thompson.
Hello.
We are here once again for a fantabulous show. February 2026. Man.
Yeah, we did it. We did 2 shows this year.
The year's just going by so dang quick, man.
Yeah.
Can everybody just slow down, man? Like, a lot is happening in such a short amount of time.
It's too much. We need to really do the show every day, basically to catch up.
Yeah, just to keep up with the news, because every day it seems like there's a new, just unfortunately a tragedy or a calamity, and in the case of the recent Epstein releases, just real, like, disgusting, horrific, just bottom of the barrel stuff that you can imagine. But we're gonna get to some of those things and more. But we are so excited to have with us tonight Lisa Ramirez. She is gonna be joining us, running for Congress, immigration attorney. So we'll talk to her about all those things. But first of all, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. But like you said, things are moving fast, and the world's a pretty crazy place right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, unfortunately, has to do with Trump, and it's like we still have to talk about this. This is only like a year or so into this. We're at. There's a lot ahead of us. It's pretty scary times.
Yeah, 1 year down, 3 years to go in theory. 1 year to go before subpoenas and some real guardrails or like breaks are able to be put on, just like the worst and most extreme instincts that have been going around. Oh, yeah. But and one of these things that could really spell the end is the Epstein files release, and more it shows and makes it very clear why Trump did not want to release these files. Yeah. And he fought tooth and nail the whole way, even though he was like, I don't care, you can release them. You have my blessings. Like, no, you had already realized that, you were going to lose. And at the end, you try to give it your blessing. But, it's quite damning. A lot of, allegations, of course. He has been not charged with any crime, although that is part of the reasons why he definitely needed to win the election last time around, because a lot of these criminal cases that were, with Jack Smith happening, that he would have almost assuredly been charged and convicted of these some of these crimes around, the election interference and things of that nature. But it could have even included some of these things. But what are the most recent allegations that you've read?
Lord. I hate to even talk about some of them because they're so heinous and so horrific. But they included some of the most satanic things you could think of, like murders, sacrificial rituals, cannibalism, like sexual assault, even like on minors, allegedly by the now president, like different, like kind of eyes wide shut kind of sex party kind of culture that has led to a lot of these crimes and a lot of these accusations. Again, these are accusations, right? Mm-hmm. But I was really trying to rack my brain thinking of like, what's the political impact of this, right? Because this is coming out of like like apparently Trump's DOJ, right? But this has no political benefit for Trump, right? This is extremely damning for him, and like this is extremely gossip-worthy, horrific stuff we're talking about. Like that has shocked the public, definitely. Mm-hmm. But who's getting charged with crimes?
Yeah, and according to Todd Blanche, nobody.
I guess not here. I guess.
Yeah, nothing. He was the only one that engaged in all these acts. Ghislaine Maxwell just helped facilitate all these women for him. He had an island just for him. Like, it's absurd to think that the American people are gonna take this, these lies, and. And it just goes to show you the extent in which the cover up is going, and it's an international type of scandal that reaches all levels of government. We talk about the swamp, like the swamp is real, and and there's a lot
global.
It is global, and there's a lot of people that had a lot at stake in those things to remain quiet. Let us never forget that, Jeffrey Epstein allegedly killed himself while Trump was president. And, based on all of, the things that have been coming out, like, who would want that voice to be silenced, more than anybody else? Like, and had the wherewithal to magically make, the cameras, shut off during that time and orchestrate a situation. I mean, if Saudi Arabia, supposedly killed Khashoggi for just being a reporter trying to expose, some of the corruption from, the Saudi government, what did this Epstein, who had a black book, alleged, it's insane.
Yes.
But it's so much to talk about, but so little time. But I also wanted to bring up some of the local issue that I just kind of came across is that James Vanderbilt is apparently going to be stepping down from being city manager in Anaheim. He has been surrounded in controversy, for different during the whole Harry Sidhu Anaheim. Of course, Harry Sidhu is
the cabal, etc.
Is just resting easy in prison as we speak. Hopefully, watching this show. Hey, Harry,
new fan.
Subscribe. Friend of the show, Harry Sidhu.
Like and subscribe.
So this is confirmed by Mike Lister, who's also been embroiled in controversy as well. For these secret meetings that were being had to practice the talking points that they were going to go over in city council meeting. It's just crazy.
At least they're organized.
Yeah.
I respect that.
But I guess he's choosing to bow out instead of continuing to deal with this. He'll be okay. I don't think, his retirement package probably includes a nice $200K to $400K, so.
Yeah, it sounds like bad news, but it might be, at least for his, his retirement might be good. So I don't know much about his situation.
Yeah,
the cabal, the era of the cabal.
Yeah, no, but there is one good news before we go into the top story that I want to lift up is that Liam Conejo Ramos has been released along with his father during where he became a national story, kind of a figurehead, the picture of the suffering of children being separated by their parents from their parents, and in his case, allegedly being used as bait to try to get the rest of their family out. I mean, this is not completely unfathomable. We've seen videos of ICE agents saying we're gonna come back for your whole family. We've seen an ICE agent recently say if you raise my voice, I erase your voice. We've seen just all sorts of just unconstitutional and just corruption and hate and just just with no regard for any kind of protocol or process that most law enforcement is, and it's bad when ICE is so bad that it makes regular law enforcement look like decent people.
Ouch. Okay.
And we're talking about the Minneapolis Police Department specifically because they, of course, were in the thick of which was the Black Lives Matter movement, the George Floyd killing, and and the chief of police, has been to his credit, he's been speaking up for the rights of people and talking against some of these actions that the ICE agents are taking, just indiscriminately throwing smoke bombs at protesters without no warning,
right.
Shooting people with rubber bullets, and in the most recent cases, of course, the tragic deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Oh yeah.
The first one was bad, but you're like, okay, well, maybe she was running him over, although it very much
turning away
seems like that was not the case.
Yeah.
And actually, now it's been confirmed that the first two shots, that he shot were not the ones that killed her. The one that he shot at the end on the side of her as she was, and he clearly not in danger, was the one that ended her life. And so, there was protest over the weekend. with a nationwide strike, and a lot of communities in Santana, Anaheim, Garden Grove. I saw youth, young people out there, just coming out of their schools and protesting. LA, of course, so there was a lot of good stuff. But yeah, the releasing of Liam was just really good, and but of course, the Trump administration is saying like, no, we're going to do everything in our power to appeal that decision because, we should not be releasing this poor child and his father, who were doing things the right way. They were in the process of, seeking asylum, but, there is no regard for the rule of law in this government.
Apparently so, with Trump at the helm.
Yeah, but how are you?
But yeah, that does, it does tie it back to Trump. I hate to keep bringing him up. It's like free media.
For sure.
How he thrives. But he did make statements, last year about like telling law enforcement to like basically do whatever you want, like be as harsh as you want, we'll back you up. And that I feel like that has had this ripple effect to now we're seeing like, people being killed by ICE. I mean, there are frequently deaths like in ICE captivity and detainment, but like not so much people being shot like this. And it's like a scary, like, taste of a dystopian future where we have these federal like police, that come around and end up shooting over what? Over like some immigration, some civil thing. You're going to end up shooting people for it. It's pretty dystopian. So
yeah,
good times.
Yeah,
basically.
It's good times if you're a fascist and you just want to be a wannabe dictator, which very much was the case. Of course, we recently saw that they went into Fulton County and took all of the border rolls from Georgia. Who knows what is happening with those border rolls as we speak? Maybe they'll be hidden somewhere where nobody will find them, like the Melania documentary showings across the country. Yeah, so that one's.
They've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and nor do we want to ever again. Please don't ever make such terrible documentaries. Yeah, it's like it's surreal, but again, I think the tide is turning. We just saw a recent. A Senate race, a state Senate race that Trump, pretends that he knew nothing about. Meanwhile, he was tweeting and truthing about it nonstop for the last few days. And now it's like, oh, well, I was, I have nothing to do with that. I don't know who she is. What? Huh? That was a race. But flipped by almost 30 points. Trump won that by 13. This person won it by 15.
Yikes.
A Democrat. There is a growing understanding that the independents are being lost to the issue of immigration. They don't like what they're seeing. They want change, and they are looking for a breath of fresh air. And they're not necessarily saying like, the democratically endorsed candidate or like the old reliable or the familiar faces are the ones that we want to see. Like folks are looking for new folks that perhaps have never stepped into a political office, to find their voice and speak to Democrats, to independents, to people that have been marginalized, but also to some Republicans that are, well-meaning that perhaps, like just said, I want my, smaller taxes and to get a handle of the border, but God, I did not want, a Fourth Amendment and, these indiscriminate killings and raids to be happening in our city streets.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the America that I want. And so there's a real opportunity, and it seems like the writing's on the wall, but there is going to take some bold leadership, some good candidates that go out there, do the things that they need to do in order to win. And so I'm really excited with that to segue into the interviewee for the day, our guest here tonight. So we have Lisa D. Ramirez. Lisa is a mother, soccer coach, business leader, immigration attorney, founding partner of U.S. Immigration Law Group, LLP, and candidate for Congress for California's 40th District. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
Woo.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. So Lisa, I didn't know of you, but apparently you've been really busy in the community here in Orange County around immigration rights, in Santana and Anaheim particularly. There's different faith groups that you've worked with in the past. So I'd really love to give you a chance to to talk about your roots and your personal story, because I just know that your story says a lot about who you are and why you do the things that you do in this present day and why you're running. So would love for you to share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So to go a little bit before I even came to Orange County 25 years ago, I am a daughter of an immigrant, daughter of a Vietnam vet, raised by a single mother, worked my way through high school, college, law school, commuted 100 miles a day. So I don't take anything for granted. I really get what it means to make ends meet. When I went to law school, actually wasn't even planning on being a lawyer, just to be clear. It was a friend of mine that was really insistent. It's like I was really good in speech and debate in high school and says, I really think you should go to law school. I said, you're crazy. I have no interest in being a lawyer. Because I never wanted to do what I saw on TV, right? And I never wanted to work for a big firm. But he was really persistent. I'm like, I have no money. You don't understand. I can't even afford an LSAT.
You even started litigating your case why you should.
Should not. Yeah. So, but his persistence was just, here's scholarships, here's, information. So I finally, literally to get him off my back, I said, fine, I will take the LSAT. If I couldn't even afford an LSAT course. So I was like, I'll take the LSAT. If I do well enough to get in, I'll go. And if I don't, I won't. Literally left it up to the universe. And so did well enough to be able to go in, but I knew that I couldn't afford it. I wasn't going to take a mortgage out of my life. So I worked full time, went to school in the evening. It's a 4-year program, but I wasn't going to pay for that 4th year. So I overloaded the summers. And so I can get out in 3 years. All of my classes were international human rights. That was the only thing that I was really interested and intrigued by and curious about. At the end of the day, being the first one to go to college, first one to go to law school, thought, great, now I'm going to go get a job doing international, human rights law, not realizing all the jobs in New York, London, and DC. And I just was raised by a single mom. We've never lived beyond a 50-mile radius from where I was born. So my family doesn't move across the country for a job. It's just not culturally how I was raised. Right. So I was like, great, that was the biggest, poor planning of my life. And then applied for a fellowship. The fellowship is what placed me here in Orange County. So moved to Orange County and, started my legal career at Catholic Charities. Their biggest need was immigration. I did not take a single immigration law class in law school. So it's but I'm one of those people. It's like trial by fire, I'll jump right in. Mm-hmm. And I don't take credit. I know people say, I pulled myself by bootstraps. It's like, no, we've all standing on the backs and shoulders of others that came before us. And I had the best national mentors, honestly, across the country that were on speed dial that, I learned and picked up everything as quickly as I could. But it really was international human rights. I just didn't go very far. It was the world coming to me. So worked on removal defense, represented human trafficking victims, really dove deep into the interfaith community. It wasn't just about the Catholic community, but really seeing the mobilizing capacity of the faith communities and being very effective. That's what my undergraduate thesis was on, actually, as the church as a social and political mobilizer in the Latino community. And so just seeing that at work was pretty cool. And I did a lot of advocacy. It wasn't just legal work, right? So I think they saw, we have a lawyer now on our staff. What else can she do? So worked really closely when the city of Anaheim was the first city in the country to introduce the 287G program, which is that MOU with ICE. Well, back then, so worked very closely on trying to protect the community during those times because we saw people getting picked up for jaywalking. This really wasn't the intention of the program, and thankfully we were able to get it shut down. But it took a lot of effort and time and energy, relationship building, coalition building to make that happen. I guess the rest is history. I poured my heart and soul in every aspect of this community on every issue. It's not just immigration. So at Catholic Charities, it would be, speaking at the Board of Supervisors meetings. We'd lobby up in Sacramento. We'd go to DC at least once a year. And for me, it was always about amplifying the voices of our clients, the most vulnerable in our community. You can get data and statistics on both sides of any issue, but when you take the human story and you take that to, someone in an elected position, you can't really argue with someone's story. But that is really how I've seen people's hearts change. You don't always get the win immediately, but at least you help shift perspective. And so that experience was really grateful. And since then, I've, started the immigration program at the Public Law Center. So again, another, vulnerable population that we worked with. And I'm now on the board of the Public Law Center, so very committed to pro bono work, supported Veterans Legal Institute with pro bono work. I've done, this year alone, I did 57 Know Your Rights presentations between January and March alone, launched a family preparedness clinic that really gets people, child care safety plans, caregivers authorization affidavits, power of attorney, all about protecting. So for me, maybe I'm in private practice, but my heart always has been with the community and always thinking about what's next. So first Trump administration, one of the founding board members, Orange County Justice Fund, is kind of just responding to the needs in the most grassroots, creative way that we can do it.
Yes. Yeah. You have a prolific career, I will say, because I think it's interesting because going through this Trump administration and maybe some of maybe they're pushing the edges of legality and things. I was kind of wondering, maybe we can get into it a little bit, but about you've seen how different administrations have enforced, because you focus throughout your career on immigration law, right? So you've seen how different administrations, maybe it's a dumb question, but is Trump pushing the boundaries as far as executive powers have tried to?
I don't think he's thinking that there are any boundaries. It's almost like a kid just coloring outside the lines. It's like, what lines? I don't think they care about the rules of law and the lines of our Constitution. I mean, it's clear that, especially this year, maybe not so much during the first Trump administration, but I think certainly this year, this time around, it's like attacking on, unlawful apprehensions, due process, taking away bond, these horrific facilities, ignoring court orders, right and left. So for me, that makes it challenging because we're used to, working within an understanding of laws and rules. And it just seems like everything is thrown out the window and we're constantly dealing with changes of policy and things that they introduce that are clearly contrary to at least what I understand the Constitution to stand for.
Yeah, so we can't have rule of law. Apparently, I thought that was a Republican value as well for the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, it's things even like family petitions, right? A child petitioning their parents, or vice versa, or married. Like a spouse petitioning their partner. Now, I mean, is there any pathway that is safe at this moment during this administration to gain legal residency and legal status?
Yeah, so pathways technically still exist, but as a practical matter, when you ask safe, I can't say that any pathway is safe. And there's a lot of people, the window of opportunity to legalize your status in this country is so narrow. I think of my own family, they would not be able to legalize their status if they immigrated today. That's what a lot of people, it's like, well, my family did it the legal way. And it's like, well, they wouldn't be able to if they were immigrating today. So I think that's first. But I think secondly, there's so much fear and terror, but people going through, even following the rules and doing it the right way, you hear stories of them getting picked up at their interviews, right? So they're going to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, going through the process correctly, and nonetheless, because they still technically don't have legal status until they do, so even those that are doing it the right way are being punished and and apprehended as a result of it. So I can never guarantee that for anyone, which is what keeps people from pursuing even citizenship. And that goes for, permanent residence. And just to give you an example, because resources have been taken away from so many of the normal, offices and processes, which is fully funded by fees. I think that's important to understand. When immigrants pay for these application fees, it pays for the work of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And so now if a U.S. citizen was going to file a petition for their spouse, say, it's going to be 5 years before that petition can even be approved.
Wow.
5 years. Now, in the meanwhile, you've given all of your information, your address, your phone number, everything to the government. So if they wanted to then use that to apprehend you, they very well could. So it puts people in a very much of a predicament, a catch-22, if you will, in terms of you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I still think with right representation, people can move forward. People should move forward, but not everyone. I think they need to have their case, analyzed.
Very solid case.
Yeah. Which is like what a lot of people are just saying, just leave it alone for now. Don't touch it. And we'll, kind of wait it out, weather the storm.
Yeah.
It's shitstorm, truly. But, it's, and it really flies in the face of the hypocrisy that Republicans and the Trump administration, love to tout, well, you got to do it the right way. We're a nation of laws. Well, people are doing it the right way, and still that's not okay. That's not the
but it ain't right.
It ain't right. Right way ain't right. It's like that don't make no sense. But and then of course, they're just really. They don't care. It's really what it comes down to. Who are they going after? It's people of color, and so on and so forth. But I want to go back into your story. So, now you're in launching or launched and are going into your political career. But I mean, was there a moment early on when like you realized that you wanted your career to focus on serving immigrant communities? And like, was there like around that issue, was there some, is that what drove you towards public service, or was it other issues?
No, I think it's not uncommon to see people who struggle in the struggle, right? It's like, you've been there, you've done that, you've come ahead, and so it's kind of like, paying it back, perhaps. So for me, I think I've always been a sucker, if you will, for the underdog. I mean, like like even when I was a child, like standing up for that person I thought I could see being bullied, and making friends with that person that was, maybe the outcast or the loner at the school. So for me, there's just something the way I'm wired that just really had a heart for people. And I think the people that got the least attention, not the ones that were the most popular or got the most attention. So for me, it's just that dedication and commitment to people, and, obviously my family, demonstrated a commitment to service. My dad in the service, he was also very involved in our community. I was a Girl Scout, so that commitment to contribution and service as well. So I can't say that there was like a defining moment. It's just kind of who I've been my entire life. So it just felt natural to just now apply my legal education in this particular way. And hopefully we'll continue to do the same when I'm in Congress.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. I mean, I always am scared of people that are overly ambitious when it comes to like running for office. Like they're just like lusting for power, and I'm like, I'm afraid of what you would do if given. So the reluctant revolutionary, as I call them, or just the person that just sees a need and just steps into it in a way that just comes naturally to them because you care about people. And that's I think really important, and I think that your message and what you're mentioning.
Yeah, it's definitely not a career move for me. Like from a very deep place of feeling compelled and convicted as I watched our constitutional rights erode in 2025. I just couldn't sit back. And for me, the straw that broke the camel's back was when the National Guard rolled into the streets of Santa Ana. And I had associate attorneys in the federal building that morning at interviews. And to me, that was the wake-up call. It was like, okay, wait, what we're seeing unfold here is the playbook of people we represent that are fleeing authoritarian regimes. And here we are, like never in my wildest nightmares did I ever think our military would be used against our own community. And so that's when I felt like, all right, it's time to step up.
Yeah, it's a little different. Usually the federal level is kind of like ethereal and out there, but when it was boots on the ground, it's like, reality hit home, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was out there when the National Guard was there, and there was just a lot of commotion. There was a lot of young people there that it was their first time, coming out to an action, and I mean, we're talking about 14-year-olds, like kids, like little girls or young girls and young boys going out there and getting their first taste of a repressive, authoritarian, overly aggressive, just reaction to them protesting, and so it's getting the tear gas and all that stuff. I mean, I felt it too. I was like, oh snap, yeah, this is a lot. I did not sign up for all of this, but it does seem though that in recent time that the Trump administration has perhaps like pivoted slightly, or they're calling it recalibration after they came out and just really told us in 1984 terms, don't believe what your lying eyes are seeing. When it came to the shooting of Alex Preddy, everybody could clearly see that he didn't brandish a gun, that he wasn't trying to like mass create a mass casualty event, that he wasn't an assassin. But that is, with Stephen Miller, and Kristi Noem and Donald Trump were elevating, and within hours of this case coming out. But then, all of this backlash and all of this, just even from the Republicans, some of them, they were just like, whoa, we should, do an investigation and stuff. I think the cherry on the cake was for me when the NRA came out. It was like, whoa, guys, like let's slow down this here because just because he had a gun and was at a protest,
he had rights.
Because they know damn well as well as anybody knows that if a left or a Democrat administration were to take over, that could turn around on them as well. Because I mean, we're talking about Kyle Rittenhouse and the January 6ers were literally showing up to protest with guns, and they could have been shot by the federal government for brandishing them. So I mean, how do you see this recalibration? You think it's going to work out in time for them to salvage, their dropping poll numbers?
So I don't think it's intended to solve or de-escalate, to be honest. And I know this is going to sound crazy to say, I don't blame the administration. And I don't like to use his name, but I don't blame the administration. I blame Congress, right? This is what happens when power goes unchecked. This is what happens when we don't have courageous leaders in Congress that are going to bring accountability to the executive branch. Like, I mean, come on, this is, U.S. government 101 that we learned in elementary school, right? There is a separation in the branches of government. There's supposed to be the checks and balances. And I think if there's one thing I learned in 2025 is really just how fragile our democracy is. So I really want to, call out Congress and that their, silence is acquiescence, their unwillingness to really, whether it's called for impeachment of Kristi Noem or whether it's in the investigation, like it's really up to Congress to keep the administration in check. But I think, it's somewhat lip service. I thought it was fascinating. Just a week before, I think Alex Preddy had been shot, because I do a lot of work out in the Inland Empire, right? Part of the district is now Riverside County, very conservative. They love their guns, right? And they have got a constitutional right to them. And I kept saying, these are eroding. And I said to someone, I said, just wait till it actually threatens, your right to bear arms. And they're like, oh, that'll never happen. And literally, like, was it last week in USA Today, I think Trump was quoted that Alex Preddy should not have a gun, which is why the NRA came in to make that. So, whoa, it's kind of like, so here's you got a president who was very, significantly funded by the NRA, now saying that maybe he should not have had a gun despite the fact that he wasn't even brandishing. So it's like, watch out, everyone, like all of our rights, are at risk. So I think it's probably to try to tone down the attention and the reaction, I think, that the administration's experiencing right now. But I just think that it won't be before too long that we'll just see it pick up again, They're sorry that they're sorry for the deaths, but I wonder if those deaths had been, immigrants or people of color, if it really would have blown up to what we've seen it today.
Damn, that is a fact. I hate to say it, and because I hate that it's true, but you look at the '60s, and it wasn't until white folks started dying for the causes of Black and brown folks. That all of a sudden America started like paying attention and waking up. It's like, wait, why are these white people getting in positions where they're standing up for these people and getting hurt or sometimes getting killed for the rights of these folks. And so if it would have been a Black or brown person, this probably wouldn't have been as much of an issue. But with Renee Good and then more with Alex Preddy being a veteran nurse assistant and just showing himself to be like a real upstanding person. And the last thing he was, shown doing was protecting a woman that was, getting pushed, like literally like shoved with as hard as they could by this ICE agent. And then, just seeing that, it really tugged at the heartstrings of everybody.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for them, right? I'm grateful for every person of all walks of life and color skin taking a stand at this moment. So you can't take for granted, right, the alliance and allegiance that we're seeing unfold throughout the country and building community in those coalitions that we're standing, together across all segments of society, to be honest.
True. Too true.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about, but I want to talk about one issue in particular that where I really got a sense of who you were, and I didn't know that you were running for office or anything like that, but it was around the case of Narciso Barranco. Narciso Barranco, of course, he was this immigrant that in Santana that was cutting lawns near the IHOP right here down Edinger near the 55, and he was approached by ICE agents. They ran after him, they tackled him, like they beat him, with their fists. They claimed that he was trying to attack him with the weed whacker, and so it was a real horrific and one of the early kind of signs of the brutality of ICE agents as they're arresting people that have been hard workers for decades in this country, just a real salt of the earth type of people. But then it came out that Narciso was father to 3 U.S. Marines, and it's I think that is it just shows like that the kind of people that our community is, but that issue really just became a nationwide national story, and you came out just representing them real forcefully and boldly, standing up for Narciso and his family. So how has that experience been with you? And I know that there's been recent developments with Narciso's case in particular.
Yeah. So, I mean, Narciso is an exceptional human being, like the kindest heart. And I wish, he deserves all the love and the attention that he's been receiving from the community wholeheartedly. But I think what he would say, and what I also know, is that he's one of thousands and thousands, if not millions, right, of hardworking, dedicated immigrants that just day in and day out are working 1, 2, 3 jobs sometimes just to provide for their family, to make ends meet. Now, what made his story unique was having the 3 U.S. citizen Marine sons. It doesn't justify, even if he didn't, the behavior, the way that ICE, brutally attacked him in that apprehension. And so for me, obviously, he understands the importance, and which is why he is comfortable with his story going public, because he just wants it, if it can shed light, right, and help millions of people, which is really what's necessary. I can do my job on one case, right, and give it the best job that I possibly can do for him. But we know it's a drop in the bucket, and that real justice can only come when we see broad, opportunities for legalization. It's been 40 years since we've seen any of it. But his case certainly got a lot of attention. It's still a case that many people watch and follow. There's a documentary that's going to be featured in February. I think it comes out at the Santa Barbara Film Festival. Still get, the New York Times and different news outlets, finding out, inquiring Congress people from all over the country, right? Not just even here locally, wanting to make sure that they're supportive and, invested in this case and to see justice through. Last week was a big moment for us because we were, successful, despite the objection of the ICE trial attorney, to get his case dismissed in court. That was huge. And, obviously dotting I's, crossing T's, and just really putting our best, case forward, had a good judge that could see it on the line. And to be honest, in this particular case, not to get too technical, but the position of the ICE attorney was like, no, we're not going to terminate, because under this 2008 memo, ICE has the authority to adjudicate parole in place, which is applications for people that are family members of our servicemen and women, right, for the military. And I was very familiar with this memo, so despite that they filed it an hour and a half before the hour of the hearing, I didn't object to it, because I said, well, as a practical matter, there is no procedure, guideline, instructions for ICE to actually adjudicate it. Like, if this trial attorney, and I said this on the record, would like to adjudicate this application right here, right now, I would welcome that. I said, but to my knowledge, I don't know anyone within the ICE agency who is authorized to process these applications. And so the judge asking him, does he know who in his agency? He's like, I don't know. So I said, exactly.
Ouch.
Right? So you want to keep him in legal limbo, right? Knowing that you don't even know how he's going to, get relief. So I think the writing was on the wall. We had very prepared, motion to terminate that the judge was able to review and agreed with us. Now, the government can still appeal, should it choose. It's got 30 days, so we're kind of in that waiting period. But meanwhile, trying to push forward his parole in place with USCIS so he can get that protection that he's been overdue.
Wow. Yeah. No, that when I saw that was just such great news, right?
Yeah.
'Cause,
I think we all need some good news too.
we
Yes.
do. That,
It's
along with
much
the
needed.
Liam Conejo's story, the little boy,
Yeah.
was something that, following, and again, like these individuals become like a symbol for like so many other folks, like in their case, like that are in similar situations, never committed a crime, this administration claims that they're going after the worst of the worst. The stats, speak for themselves.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them have never, so much as gotten like a speeding ticket, let alone, committed a violent, crime. But they're going after them because it is about the great replacement theory. It is about, getting rid of as many people of color as possible. I mean, we're hearing now that the administration is going to go into, what is it, Iowa, I believe, with the Haitian population. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just, it just seems, and same with Minnesota, although, that just kind of backfired. But so as far as, we talk a lot about the problems, but, and kind of, pivoting into your run for Congress and the issues that, you're going to stand with. So what are like three things that you think you would immediately propose or want to champion as far as federal immigration policy that would, change things, alleviate, the backlog and help, us get on the right track on the issue of immigration in this country?
Yeah, so I always say we got to start where there's common ground, right? And I think the common ground on both sides of the aisle, to be honest, is legalization for DACA. I mean, this was a stopgap program. I can't believe it's been 14 years almost that we thought this wouldn't last but a couple of years till there was real legalization. And here we are. And it's not legal status, right? So they're kind of in this vulnerable limbo as well. It's like they get this work authorization. They're pseudo-protected, although I know clients have been deported even with DACA, so we can't even say it's full protection. They're still getting apprehended. They're still getting detained. The Orange County, I can't think of his name right now, but he was sent to Alligator Alcatraz early on when that facility was still brand new. So I think there's enough on the Republican side too. It makes sense. We as taxpayers have invested in these kids from pre-K and sometimes through colleges and universities as they've gone through public, colleges and universities. So that makes the most logical sense. That's where we start. It's not where we end. But I think we really need to fight for reform that's going to include, a lot of the folks like Narciso that have been here, for decades and working hard and paying taxes, contributing to our community. They deserve to come out of the shadows. But I think that's going to take some time and some brokering and some, negotiating, if you will. But my goal is to be able to, stand for every immigrant in this country and give them a pathway to citizenship. I think that's the big thing with the Dignity Act and other proposals that I hear coming out. There was an opinion piece in the New York Times by, I think it was Congressman Lawler, that basically everyone's like, oh yeah, let's just keep using them as workforce. They're good for the economy. They're good for business. I'm like, they deserve respect and dignity. And let's go back to, taxation without representation. Like they deserve to have that pathway to citizenship. Otherwise it's legalization of indentured servitude. So we've got to really fight hard for the pathway.
Oh, yeah. And I like that, what you brought up about finding the common ground. And I'm kind of wondering if, Trump's actions are making that a more viable strategy for, I don't know, maybe a candidate running in your election. Because, this theme I'm seeing, with this Alex Preddy, it's like he gets shot, but then there's this cognitive dissonance on the Republican side because they value the right to bear arms, right? But now you have this conflict because it's this protesting, but you have to, you need the right to bear arms. And then with Narciso's case, it's from a Republican standpoint, it's well, yeah, I want my immigration laws enforced, but this guy has 3 sons that are in the military, and he's a hardworking guy, and it's so they have this cognitive dissonance, and I'm just wondering, yeah, I feel like that is a opportunity in your campaign to find that common ground.
Yeah.
Because that's not being represented in the government now.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword, I'm not going to lie, right? So I think when it comes to the cruelty and the inhumanity in the enforcement efforts, I think the majority of America is yeah, that's gone too far, right? We've gone too far when we're starting to kill U.S. citizens for exercising their First Amendment, rights. And at the same time, again, because I've been out, in the district, all the way out to Menifee and Murrieta and, everything in between, here and, where we are today and out there. There are plenty of people who still feel very, committed to the hate. I mean, and it's not, yes, we went too far, so maybe, but we still need to enforce, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're open to legalization, right? Which is why I say the common ground is so important. We got to start. But what's interesting to me is, it's always when it hits home, right? On any issue. When it hits home, then they're like, oh, well, it's my nanny, it's my gardener. And now, it's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I know most of my clients are actually very similar to what you describe your nanny or gardener, or better yet, my daughter, my son is dating or engaged to someone who's undocumented. Oh, but if they get married, right, they just get to legalize their status, right? And it's like,
it's easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy. Like, what do we have to do? I'm like, it doesn't work like that. But I think the more people's stories hit home, the more it hits home for them, I think we'll definitely see a shift and a change. I'm talking about the voters, right? Because that's what I have to think about in this campaign. It's like, okay, where are the voters at? And like, it's a fine line, and it's something that you have to navigate carefully and strategically, because I'm not going to buckle, but it's all about how you message. It's all about, who your base is, who your audience is, and making sure that they understand that when they vote, they need to vote based on their self-interest. And so it's identifying what that self-interest is to get them where we really want them to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you are, speaking of voters, so you're running for the 40th district, which is currently represented by Republican Young Kim. Yeah, we can all agree that her representation has not been great. Although, she has tried to, be like, hey, like, I'm not that bad. Like, I'm actually this or that. But she totally ran on, just on illegal immigration, as did Trump. And to be fair, there was a real, perhaps genuine, concern from conservative folks that said, like, wow, like, we are just like letting a lot of folks in. There's not a vetting. There was TikTok videos and showing how, like, Chinese folks were able to, like, find a gate, open through the wall. And, so there was, there's a legitimate concern about the type of people that weren't being vetted, and then of course, with the busing to New York, from Greg Abbott and stuff. So immigration was a top issue, but also there was also other issues, right, around the economy and stuff. And right now, immigration is still a top issue, but so is affordability. That is the word of the year for 2025 for sure. And might be the word of the midterms. That it's like, I don't. Affordability is a Democratic conspiracy put up by the Democrats to smear me, your best president, Donald J. Trump. But so, like, what is and you are running in a competitive Democratic primary with opponents like Esther Kim Barrett and Joe Kerr. Joe Kerr has run before and lost. I would personally say, like, just, hey man, like, just you've gave it the college try. It's time to pass the baton and let somebody else. It's her turn, type of thing. And Esther, she's has a lot of money. Her apparently her husband used to be a MTV marketing exec. And so, she's very active online, and she's been very much attacked on, certain issues like Gaza and whatnot. But what are some issues that from you that offer a unique perspective, and what sets you apart from your opponents in this race?
Yeah. So I just want to clarify, because the opportunity here is actually to kill two birds with one stone. So because of Prop 50, Young Kim and Ken Calvert's districts has collapsed. So I'm actually running against two GOP incumbents right now. Yeah. So this is why it's so critical, so that they're going to be burning their money fighting each other. If you look at Young Kim, I know she's always presented, because she's my congresswoman, presented herself as a moderate. Her website is completely changed, and it's a race to see who's going to be more MAGA. So her campaign pieces and her mailers now is with Bovino. This is obviously before all of this in Minneapolis.
It was build the wall flyer.
Yeah, exactly. So this race is getting, more and more interesting every day, but 25% of the registered voters in this district are Latino. And so we cannot understand. Now, we know every poll, the yes on Prop 50, their feelings about Trump, the majority, not all, because there's going to be those diehards that, it's their religion.
20%. Yeah. He could
So,
kill somebody.
and I say, look, they're not going to go red. Just because they're not going red does not mean they're going down. It means they're staying home, which is why the grassroots mobilization and boots on the ground and the door knocking is going to be so critical. We have to reach them. We have to reach them through their kids, high school students, college students, so that they understand the power that they have with their ballot. Latinos too often are like, how did this happen? How did we get here? Oh, me or oh, my. And it's like, no. If you're a citizen and you're registered to vote, you need to use that ballot during our election. So that's just the distinction. In terms of like where I stand, so the issues I have always said, I said this during the presidential election before Congress was even something that I was even thinking about, it's the kitchen table issues. It's the affordability of basic things, food, housing, healthcare, higher ed. That's what people really need like relief from right now. And we're not a poor country. And to me, it's not about, it's not like we lack resources. It's just upside down in terms of our priorities. The American people are not a priority. We're giving, tax cuts to billionaires. We're cutting, SNAP for, hungry kids. We're, doing away with the ACA subsidies, and this so a lot of the things that have been implemented need to be undone in order for the American people to feel some sense of relief. So federal resources need to be delivered. Taxpayers' resources really need to be delivered so that they provide some, ease and affordability for our community. The second is, both accessible healthcare and affordable healthcare. Even as a business owner, I was hit with an 18% increase on our premiums for healthcare. And I said, I couldn't imagine, passing that along to my staff. They wouldn't be able to afford it. So I was trying to figure out, like, how do we get a different plan, a plan that they could live with, that I could live with, that we're not then having to increase our fees even more just to make ends meet. So the pinches that people feel, and I think this would set me apart, are my pinches. This is not I got number 2 going to college. My husband and I are like, okay, how are we going to make this happen? Because, going to colleges and university are extremely expensive. So it's not like these are not theoretical conversations for me. These are conversations that I have every day, whether in the office with my clients. I see it every day, what people struggle with. So I don't think, either opponent, on the Democratic side really has their boots on the ground quite in the same way as I do. Obviously, the timing of this, immigration being the hot topic, that is my area of expertise, but it's beyond, I sit on a lobby board, nationally. So I've worked in federal law and policy pretty much my entire career. It goes beyond immigration. It goes to gun safety. It goes to healthcare. It goes to the economy. It goes to a lot of other issues. So for me, it's between the track record, I think being a Latina, being a Spanish speaker, being able to deliver a message that I believe will resonate with a wide range of folks in the district. I really see myself as a very effective bridge. It's how I've been able to deliver results for my client, even with ICE, right? So I'm like, there's a lot of Republicans in the Inland Empire, I'm not going to lie, that haven't voted Republican for at least 3 election cycles, but they will not unregister. And I'm like, you are welcome too. Right? So it's like anybody who is an ally, regardless of what initial, goes on their, ballot or after their name, to me, it's wherever we can build alliances is how we're going to be able to move forward.
Yeah, that's why I think it's interesting you pointed out how your Republican opponents are becoming even more MAGA, but that's almost like the breaking point on the right now, kind of. It's like, I feel like some of his party is splitting off, and there's like a discontent about everything that's been happening. So
Well, I think they're afraid to lose their power and their seats is really what it comes down to, because American people, their voices are being heard on the streets, through these protests, and I think they're just trying to protect their own seat.
It's true, and also, there is a very real a push for some folks to figure out what America first looks like. Post-Trump. I think MAGA is going to be Trump, and I don't think anybody can MAGA like, Mr. MAGA himself. No. But the American First movement, we have the different folks, that Marjorie Taylor Greene, and other people that are broke with Trump, but are still very much America first. So that'll be interesting. But similarly, how the Republicans side is breaking, the Democratic Party is also currently going through their own soul searching and figuring out where their stance is, and particularly on the 2 issues that I feel a lot of folks care about, which is the situation in Gaza with the Palestinian people, and this rallying cry around abolish ICE. abolish ICE is nothing new, but it went from being 20%, that people were supportive of it, to now 40%. I don't know if it was Democrats or people in general, but point being, it has doubled in as far as people being supportive of it, especially with the recent killing. So, what are your stances on those two issues?
So I would say abolishing ICE as we see it today is necessary, but we can't abolish the function of enforcement in this country, right? So I just want to we need to reinvent it. The Department of Homeland Security really isn't that old before it replaced, INS, the Immigration Naturalization Service. Mm-hmm. We need to create a different, I don't think there's a way at this point, in my opinion, to fix ICE. I think we need to reinvent something that replaces ICE. Having worked with, human trafficking victims, there is a role for enforcement at our border. So I don't even think the American people, when they say that, maybe mean or understand what they're asking for. Abolishing ICE means, do the trial attorneys go away? Because that's due process. So who's going to replace ICE in the courts, right? Because we need due process. And so whatever we want to call it, it needs to be recreated. It needs to be reinvented. So I'm not one to just say abolish ICE, meaning no enforcement whatsoever, because I don't think people understand what they would be asking for if we did that.
Yeah. So like scaling back, because they got $71 billion to spend over 3 years, which is the fourth largest army, budget
in the world.
Yeah.
The world.
Yeah.
A private army for Trump. So probably doing away with that would be like a good thing that you would support. And like you're saying, like before we had INS, right? And this, and then 9/11 happened, and this explosion of money for what was supposed to be terrorism, but all of a sudden, like it just became weaponized towards immigrants, mostly, from Latino or
And I would say Muslim too,
countries.
especially
Muslim
after 9/11.
Right. Yeah. So it's change, and right now, like we got Border Patrol way far away from Border Patrol, and the people and that's another thing too. People talk about abolishing ICE. Well, it's like it should be abolish DHS or abolish Border Patrol or whatnot, because ICE is like the scapegoat, but who killed Alex Preddy was Border Patrol. But with Greg Bovino and just this hard tactics that has been recently been put in place, it's just really created a lot of animosity and anger towards them. But I'm happy to hear about your stance on this issue.
They definitely need to be defunded,
Yeah.
right, significantly.
Yeah.
But I also want to really encourage the American people, because when we say defund ICE, it's similar to what people say, like, oh, are you anti-war? Well, I'm for peace. So what do we want to be for? Like, we want to be for freedom, for equality, for fairness, for justice. Like, that's really what we want to see. I think that's what people mean when they say abolish ICE, because I think what ICE stands for is none of those things. But let's take ICE out of it and let's create something that's going to really represent, I think, what we're hungry for.
I feel like that represents the militarization and the punishing aspect of immigration. But like you were saying, if someone wanted to go through some legal process, it would take 5 years. So why don't we shift that money to like establishing some process and then manning it, or like having people staff it, because you need the judges, you need the attorneys, you need all that, and it's a very slow process.
Yeah.
Right. It takes many years, and it's like maybe the money would be better spent there.
Yeah, I think it would be great if and I always said this, but similar to our criminal courts, if there was a public defender version in immigration court, right? So that everyone was represented, right? Even if they couldn't afford a lawyer, and really have, because there are people who go through the process and really just drag out time. They don't qualify for relief, or they don't qualify, to be able to remain in the United States, and they just got here. The fact that we wait 15 years before we see the end of someone's case, it's like, well, now they're married and they've got 5 kids, and it's like, how do we uproot them at that point? It's because it was mishandled from the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, a pathway to citizenship, being able to, I am not personally the one, and people will be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, open borders is just like not something that I can jive with, because of what you're just saying around human trafficking and all other things. Like, there should be a process in every country, and Mexico is the same way. They have, they don't like Central Americans coming. In other countries, like, so I hate to put it as like a, just an America issue. Everybody has, issues. The scapegoating of a country's problems, geared towards immigrants is really problematic. the fact that we've, had these wars in South America, for years that destabilized, democratic, elected offices in Chile, Nicaragua, and Honduras, that created a lot of the situations that forces people to come to this country. Ideally, folks would be empowered to stay in their countries and make, their countries as great as they can. And they wouldn't need to come over here. And if they do, and we should encourage that, there should be a legal and safe process to do it. But like my conspiracy theory before I want to ask you about Gaza, is that Trump is going to pass immigration reform, because the last time we had a horrible president was Ronald Reagan, and he gave us amnesty. And so I think this might be like, hey guys, if you don't impeach me and if you don't prosecute me after my presidency, we'll give you amnesty for all these folks.
Come on,
guys.
Cross your fingers.
But I would
Do it
think,
for daddy.
but it's strategic, right? To me, it's absolute strategy that the division, the scapegoat, if you will, is the immigrants. They want us to believe that the immigrants are the ones taking away our jobs. Like, this is what I've always said. Look, the divide in this country right now is actually not between right and left. It's between bottom and top, right? So while they're going to blame us for taking away these jobs, the immigrants, meanwhile they're having the black tie dinners with the biggest, CEOs of AI companies, right? And those are really the threats to our job security and jobs for Americans. Forget about, So to me, it's like it's strategy. It's not, it's not happening by accident, which is why we need leaders who are courageous to bring accountability. That's what it comes down to.
Oh,
You're so right. That's a bipartisan issue. The AI situation. People are in Republican, like MAGA countries are saying we don't want these these data farming or these huge things that are sucking up all of our resources, our water and our energy. To give these AI people that could be a bubble and could be the the beginning of the end of our existence. If the robots are taking over,
they're coming.
But also the issue around funding of Israel has become a bipartisan issue with American First. People like I said, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and other folks are saying hey, giving billions of dollars every year, to fund what has been dubbed by many people, including Israeli rights organizations, as a genocide. At the very least, an apartheid state in Israel, is not something that we should do. If we have all this money to give, to Israel for war, and we have all this money to give to ICE, to have wage war on our citizens. We don't have money for Medicare for all. We don't have money for all these other things that we could really use. So this issue of Gaza has, obviously it's tampered down since the heights of it. After October 5th. And that, it was terrible that 2,000 Israelis got killed, but also it was horrid the amount of devastation that has happened. We've literally bombed that area more than the bombs of World War II in a short amount of time. And I say we because the American taxpayer has been funding these bombs and through Israel. So what is your position on the issue of Palestine?
Yeah, it pains me, I'll be honest. It goes back to the rule of law, right? Every state has its right to self-defense, but there's a time where you cross the line. So just like where ICE has crossed the line in enforcement, Israel has crossed the line. This is no longer justifiable under any international law or argument of self-defense. I feel that blood is on our hands as taxpayers. I feel that they're on my hands. I feel responsibility for the deaths, in Gaza. So yes, we really need to rethink the funding and the military aid that we're giving to Israel. My campaign is not receiving a dime from AIPAC. I'm not receiving any money from any corporate PAC, to be honest, because we know that these conflicts of interest will inevitably arise when you have to okay, are we going to give money here? Or are we going to keep it at home? I want to make sure my constituents know that, they come first. When push comes to shove, when there's conflicts of interest, it's got to be the American people. And I don't think we have enough leaders who really prioritize the needs of the people.
Yeah, it's interesting because I guess you said you studied international law, right? I don't know if you happen to hear the Canadian Prime Minister's speech at Davos.
I loved it. That was the best speech I have really heard in a really long time. Yeah. It almost made me want to become Canadian.
It was cathartic, right? It was like someone saying the quiet part out loud, right? Yes. But what does that say? Isn't that a huge condemnation of international law then? Where we stand with it then?
Well, to me,
what he's saying is true.
Look, you keep saying America first. There is nothing that I have seen this administration do that has put America first. And so if I wasn't an American and I wasn't here and I was a Canadian or somewhere else, like I would be building those coalitions, just like they are. Like they are putting us last. Like whether we look at Venezuela, which is because I lived there for a summer and worked there for a summer and understand that very closely, Greenland, or like we are now, more countries are requiring visas of Americans. Like we have created more enemies throughout the globe, not friends, and it's going to hurt us. It is going to hurt us economically. When you think of how much the European Union has in bonds, on the United States, if they wanted repayment, like I worry. I really do worry about what that's going to do to our economy. We do have, we're dependent, we're interdependent. So we can't think that we're going to be this, I don't even know what to call it, this empire again or take over the world. It's just that's so, centuries ago thinking that no longer works today. We won't survive, honestly, not economically and not as a country. If we're putting America first, then we should continue to invest in research, making sure we're innovative, making sure we have jobs, make sure we've got good paying jobs for people, keeping things in check. But that's really not what the playbook is for this administration.
Yeah, more cognitive dissonance on, it's like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot, what is it? Flood the zone. That was this whole Steve Bannon strategy, right? Like if you just do all of it at the same time, they won't be able to like focus on any one thing to be able to fix it. And after, it's going to take us years to be able to get to heal, the breaks in the relationships with our historical allies, and to get the faith of these people back. I mean, the United Nations, literally right now, I just read that they're saying that they might have to close their offices in New York, I believe, because we are not funding it right now. And of course, this president wants to start the Board of Peace because he is bored of peace.
Heyo, got him. Take that.
But of course, it takes $1 billion for you to be a permanent member, and all of his crony friends, like Argentinian president and Malaysian president, are part of this board. Apparently, people have told him like, "No thanks," but we don't.
Yikes.
But it's going to take a lot, and it's going to take folks like yourself, Lisa. I really personally believe that you have the conviction, the values, the voice that is really speaking to the heart of the American people. And yes, you're a Democrat, but I just see you as a human being.
If you could run as an independent and you can figure out how to do that, you let me know.
It's
not possible. I mean, that's just the structure.
We won't the rules are rigged. The rules are rigged.
No, for sure. And and so you got you got a lot of work ahead of you. So we're running out of time here, but just I want to just end with what is the next few months look like for you? Like have you seen any polling? Like what do you feel you have like a good chance? Is anybody going to bow out anytime soon?
What's the road to victory?
Is the Democratic Party going to endorse you? Like who's endorsed you?
So I'm really thrilled. I'll tell you, just to address the party endorsement first. So in the pre-endorsement vote that just took place last week, garnered 65.2% of the delegate vote. So
nice.
I needed 70 to secure it pre-convention. So we were close. Actually thought we had it, but lost it. And so now we go to convention, which is in a couple weeks. And I think it's with 60% is the threshold for convention. So very hopeful. Don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but confident that we'll get the endorsement there, which is huge. And then I think a lot more support. For me, there's two things and only two things that matter in terms of being able to flip this seat. One is obviously financial support, where that can come from in allies, not from corporate PACs or APAC for that matter. I'm not that, desperate or crazy. But the second is the boots on the ground. It's really building the army. I am trying to reach out and enlist every possible person, whether you're in the district or out of the district, doesn't matter. You can even help share the message to people all over the country. I've got like seniors in like Tennessee and North Carolina, Florida, Texas. No, literally, they're like $5 reoccurring thing. And I'm like, I call them and I'm like, thank you. And they're like, no candidate has ever called. You made me feel special. I'm like, you are special. And because this is not, look, I'll stick my neck out. I'll lead the charge, but I can't do it alone. So it's really these next 5 months to get past the primaries is going to be building the army, but to take us and to success and victory in November, it's going to be, all hands on deck, all boots on the ground, the community really taking a stand for what they want to see. And I think if enough of us, work together, we build the right coalitions, there's no reason. And I've got some smart people. I'm a data person, so it's all about numbers. It's number crunching, it's strategic, it's precise. I don't have the millions that Young Kim or Ken Calvert. I think together it's going to be over 7 million. So I just that's not the game I'm playing. I'm not doing the multi-million-dollar ads on LA Metro Market TV. I might do Hulu and YouTube and social media. But for me, there's nothing that's going to replace, good old-fashioned knocking on doors. It'll include mailers, but getting the word out about what we're trying to accomplish here together.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't need all the money or, to outspend the other side, but you need enough money. And if you're not going to take corporate, PAC money, then it's going to be incumbent upon the community and people, to regular folks, from this country, from this district, from elsewhere, to be able to help support. So, where can folks, find more information about you and get involved and donate and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so visit lisaramirez.com. It's where you can sign up to volunteer. It's where you can, make a contribution. No dollar amount is too small, and really help spread the word. If you shoot me an email, lisa@lisaramirez.com, we'll send you an email that's a template that makes it easy for you to share from people throughout the country, and in the district, out of the district, just to really, again, it's about building the base.
Nice. Great.
And follow us on social media. That's another point. Please build the base on social media. Obviously, it matters. Important. Not everyone on there are necessarily voters, but it's a way that we help generate, the magnitude that we need in this movement.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah. The voters are about vibes these days.
Vibe voting? That's going to be the next voting.
ChatGPT,
who should I vote for?
You got to capture the vibe vote.
You
got all the vibes. I'm just, again, I personally speaking, I just think you're just come across as real genuine, real heart-centered, and your body of work leading up to this moment, speaks volumes about your commitment to this community when it comes to immigrants and working, families, and you being a mother yourself, what everybody is facing in these times that we are going, and we want to work towards a future that we can, that we can hand over to our children and feel that we didn't completely screw this up, and mama got this. So,
I'm gonna give it all I got.
We're gonna give it all. Yeah, we got. So okay.
Indeed.
Agreed. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being a part of this show.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yes. Welcome.
Thank you both.
Onward and forward.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What a great show.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, I liked Lisa. Good conversation. We got through almost everything that we want to talk about. No, I think it was good.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal questions coming in about HOA stuff. So if you can stay after a couple hours. But yeah.
We'll have to bring her back for consultations.
Yeah.
Do check out her website, like she mentioned, for more information about how to get involved. And in general, everybody should be getting involved. The primaries are an important moment in elections. Everybody focuses on November, but you forget that primaries is where we get to choose. The type. It's not about a Democrat, any blue won't necessarily do. It's
got him.
It will do unless you have Mamdani, in which case they're not that blue. We're talking about more.
It doesn't have quite the right ring to it.
Yeah.
This slogan.
Any blue will do, but not you. When it comes to progressive candidates, sometimes. But no, we desperately need bold leadership in this country, and to be unabashed, progressive, and standing on business on the issues that matter to communities like Medicare, and Medicare for all, and abolishing ICE, and addressing these endless wars all over, and not focusing on the people here, and wanting to uplift the community and the economy and the affordability of housing and so many other issues that we care so deeply about and are facing day in and day out. So but the conversation continues nonetheless here on It's Happening Show 2026. So we're starting off real good.
This is good.
Boom.
Yeah, we can say we've done two.
We've done more than we all did all of last year.
By the end of the year, we can say we do a show every 6 months this year.
I love it.
If we stop. No, but we're trying to be good, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's happening. It's going full force. So I want to thank audio video engineer Edgar Silva, Iron Lion Media for putting it down, doing all
Roar.
making us look
Do we?
cool and good and stuff.
That. Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. We need the sound
Put
effect.
that on the soundboard.
We're bringing it
guys.
back.
Yikes.
So So thank you so much, and also thank you, Yenny Diaz.
Yes.
Permanent
Interim
executive
producer. Yes.
For helping us with flyers and overall just helping us brainstorm and put this thing here together. We're here, of course, at Grand Central Arts Center. No affiliation. Our views and opinions do not reflect them or CSUF in any way. But nonetheless, we are here, make our voice be heard, and inviting people to talk about the issues that you care about on the front lines of the fight for a better tomorrow.
Also, nothing here should be misconstrued as legal advice. Contact an attorney in your area for specific details. Okay, this is educational.
There we go.
Yeah, we need to give the usual
Man.
legal caveats
I love
there.
it.
Yes,
Indeed. So thank you so much, my co-host Dylan Thompson, always putting it down here. And from Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria and all of us here, and It's Happening, we are signing off.
It's happening.